I talked a lot about what I think may or may not be in Xenoblade Chronicles 3's DLC, but what do I want? What do I want to see? What's my wish list? Well, sit back, relax, grab a snack, and get ready, because I got a list. And I'm like Santa Claus because I'm checking it twice. So let's start with the story elements and move into gameplay. So I think my number one major want for the DLC is to be able to play as Rex and Shulk, and not just have their entire appearance in the DLC be that one scene from the trailer. I know Vandam's supposed to be the protagonist of the DLC, but we did get to be able to play as Adam and Torna, so maybe we'll be able to play as Rex and Shulk. I really hope they're core central party members. You can't just give me Rex dual-wielding the Aegis sword and not expecting to want to play him. And there was one comment that I got a couple days ago, saying that since Shulk loses his arm that we know because of the Founder's Room, what if he turns his mechanical arm into a freaking Monado? And I'm all for that. Honestly, I need it more than anything at this point. Go full Iron Man. Have the arm transform into a giant Monado Rex, so then he can dual-wield Monados. I'd be so for that. It's not even funny. One of my other desires and, wishes is one that I actually think will probably come to pass, and that is I want book-ended cutscenes. Like how we got with the base game for Xenoblade 3, where we got the Noah perspective before and after Ionios formed. I want the same treatment, but for Mio, so we see the other perspective. I would love to see that. I think it'd be very poetic, and give us a chance to see what life is like back over in Allrest, or at least the new Allrest. I would love to see something like that. Another one I have is, if we're gonna go all in with the references and throwbacks to the previous Xenoblade games with this DLC, go all in. Let me see a whole bunch of other characters that we saw from the base games from Xenoblade 1 and 2. Let me see Zeke, let me see Poppy, let me see Tora, let me see Ryan, let me see Fiora, let me see the cast of characters. They don't have to be major characters, but just, even if it's a cutscene or something. Because I'm pretty sure we'll see at least Nia and Melia, since they're the queens of Agnes and Keves. So I'm pretty sure we'll see them at some point. But depending upon how they're used, I think it'd be a really cool moment just to see everybody back in action together again. Outside of that, I don't really have many things story-wise that I specifically want to see. And even with those wants, it's more a matter of just how they execute upon them than actually physically having them. Those are just things I would like to see as like fan service. But if the direction goes a different way, but it's still equally compelling and interesting, I'm all for that. However, there is one thing I absolutely want to see from them, and it's more philosophical direction for this DLC than anything else. And that is, I want this not to just function as a prequel to Xenoblade 3, because I'm pretty sure it's going to function as one. I also want it to function as a sequel to Xenoblade 1 and 2. I highly doubt we'll get many scenes, if any, that take place after the events of Xenoblade 3. Like I said before in previous videos, maybe we get a post-credit scene, maybe something like that. I could see something like that happening, but I think the most of the game will take place before the events of Xenoblade 3. And since I don't think Xenoblade 3 really needs much more for it, since the whole theme and message of the game is to move on from Ionios and to move on into the future, having this DLC function as more of a sequel to Xenoblade 1 and 2, which could bridge the gap between those games and this entire saga, and going into, say, Xenoblade Chronicles 4, I think serving in that function could be very interesting and also engaging, while not taking away from the plot and message of the base game. You can certainly take some of those plot threads that were left hanging from Xenoblade 3 and do something with them. But if the role of the DLC is solely to function as a prequel for those events, I don't know really how much we'll get out of that. But if it functions as a sequel and wrap-up for the first two games, and this whole Klaus saga as a whole, I think that could be a very comfortable storytelling niche for this game. Now let's transition more into the gameplay side of things. And we did see at least a part of the Bionis leg from Xenoblade 1 in the trailer, and it's supposed to be that island, I believe, on the northwest part of the map. And that could be very cool to explore. However, I do hope they bring a return to form from Torn to the Golden Country, and not just have that one area be the entire location of the game. I would love to see a second location, at least somewhere else, to give us a little bit of more aesthetic diversity. And maybe this is just the fact that I'm playing Xenoblade X recently and I'm absolutely adoring that game. But some more X references, you won't hear me complaining. I'm just saying, you won't hear me complaining. I won't say a thing outside of praises, in all likelihood. And I'm not just talking about, oh wow, it's Elma, Parkus. No, just like, cool references to Xenoblade X in some way. Like how we had a class in Xenoblade 3 called Full Metal Jaguar. Maybe name one of the classes in Xenoblade 3's DLC Galactic Knight. Just something there to remind us of Xenoblade X. I think that could be really cool. Now, in Torna the Golden Country, I'm going to be referencing that a lot in this video if you haven't noticed already. I love Torna. We got an instrumental version of Drifting Souls, which was a major song from Xenoblade 2. In this, you have a plethora, a selection of songs, if you will, that could be chosen for a remix or just an instrumental version of. I'm just saying I would love a remix of, say, Weight of Life, or an instrumental version of Step Away, Where We Belong, something like that to fill in that role. I think that could be really cool. And I always love it when these games and these game series are able to take songs that are pre-established and beloved and do a little something to it. Just touch it up here and there, make it feel new, but also as a nice throwback to previous events, and recontextualize that song to fit in the current moment. I always love it when games are able to do this. Final Fantasy does it a lot, and I would love to see Xenoblade Chronicles continue their, it's almost becoming a tradition at this point, of doing something similar, because they did it again in Future Connected. Yeah, in Future Connected, they had an acoustic version of Beyond the Sky. I love it when games do stuff like that. It gives a pre-established song a new sound that can fit in with the current context of the story that's going on while still feeling like a core part of the series. I love it when games do that. I hope they do it again. And just in overall terms of mechanics, probably the biggest thing I'm having my eye out for is hopefully they pivot away from that one design direction they went with Torna, where you had to do a certain number of side quests to progress the main story. I don't know why the hell they did that. The side quests in Torna were fine. However, I don't like being mandated or forced to do side content when I kind of just wanted to get on with the main story and experience what all that had in store for me. Let the side content be optional and allow me to do the main story at my own pace. But I also want there to be enough side content in this DLC to keep me entertained for a little bit. I don't want it to just be main story. I want there to be some meat on these bones. And to go alongside that, I definitely think the combat system will have some overhauls compared to the base game, but I don't want them to stray away from Xenoblade 3's combat all that much, because I really enjoyed Xenoblade 3's combat. I thought the party members switching, the chain attack system itself were really fun and conducive to an overall engaging experience that kept me constantly occupied with what was going on, and I had a ton of fun with it. I found the customization to be really fun, the progression to be very fun and engaging, and I want to see at least a shortened version of that in the DLC, because it's not going to be as long as Xenoblade 3, so you can't go as much as Xenoblade 3 did in terms of progression and customization, but you can have at least a sample of it. You can have an experience that's tailor-made for probably the 25-hour experience that this DLC will probably end up running you. Let me have a few classes, don't just have them be carbon copies of the base game. You can possibly change up the chain attack system just a little bit to simplify it in certain areas, while upping the pace and intensity of them. With the Archsage's Gauntlet, we were able to control multiple heroes at the same time, however, we didn't have direct control over them. Allow us to have direct control over all these party members, like we did with Ouroboros in the base game, however, also give each party member a unique ability to be used in the chain attack system whenever you use them in any attack, like a hero does. That could be really cool and could be a nice addition to make the combat feel unique to the DLC, while still feeling like Xenoblade 3. And I think if you can have it so that each party member feels like their combat at least kind of harkens back to their original game, I think that could be really cool. Like give Shulk backslash or a couple of Monado arts in lieu of having master arts or something, while maybe Rex can toggle which sword he's primarily using, which could give his abilities different effects. Something like that. Something simple, but something that harkens back to the base game, or to their base game, while still feeling in line with the combat of Xenoblade 3. Because I'm not imagining we're going to have all that many master arts and master skills, because that's a system that relies upon the playtime of Xenoblade 3, so that you can slowly accumulate all those different resources at your own pace and at your own decision. So maybe replacing the master arts and master skills with abilities that are more throwbacks to each character's base game combat style, I think that could be a really cool iteration on the combat system for Xenoblade 3 to make it fit with this more brief experience we're going to get with the DLC, while still having enough depth to it to make it fun and engaging for potentially 20 plus hours. Oh yeah, and the big one. Just go back to Xenoblade 2 Hot to Hots, please. For the love of God. You can stick with the campfire ones if you want, but please, please, let the characters move around. Let them have voice acting in these Hot to Hots. It adds so much to the overall experience and gives these Hot to Hots a sense of, well, heart, for lack of a better word, or soul, that I just don't think the campfire scenes had. Or at least go back to the way they did it in Future Connected, where you had these quiet moments between characters that I believe were still voice acted, but some of them were pretty story heavy, or leaned in terms of focusing more on character development or just characterization of these characters. That's a direction I far prefer than the direction they went with the base game for Xenoblade 3 in terms of the Heart to Heart system. Now, personally, I would like to see maybe, I don't know if it could be done, I'm not a music theorist, maybe we could see a song that combines some elements of Beyond the Sky, Where We Belong, and One Last You, and possibly A Moment of Eternity. I'm just saying, maybe they could do something like that for me. I don't know, I'm just saying. I don't know if I want it to be the ending theme, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be opposed to having a song that combines elements of 4 of my favorite songs of all time, and especially of Xenoblade, into one musical experience, in a DLC that is supposed to be the last major story piece of content in terms of this whole Cloud saga. I'm just saying, something like that, tying it all together with a nice little bow, I wouldn't be personally opposed to it. I'm just saying. So I'm going to call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And hit the bell icon to be notified for when I upload in the future. And we have a Discord now, so if you want to join the Discord and talk about Xenoblade or other gaming topics, please click the link in the description down below. And leave a comment also down below with your thoughts and your personal wish list of things that you want to see, no matter how selfish they are, for the DLC of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I would love to hear your thoughts and hear your perspectives. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day. Go play some video games if you can, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.